Guys, we got a fucking show. Welcome to Dancing in the Moonlight. My name is Kyle, your host. Welcome to Project Potter, guys. Without a doubt, guys, Marvel's most ambitious project yet, and I'm so excited to see where this is going. Very similar format to my other reviews. We're going to go through my thoughts on the episode, my favorite character, my weakest character, score out of 10. Let's get right into it, guys. This show, trippy. This show is so unique and unlike anything Marvel has ever done, in my opinion, where I was hooked right away. We saw all these crazy shots in the trailer where him turning into the Moon Knight, where it encapsulates him. It's really awesome. Him beating the demon or whatever that is that he fought at the end there. Him kind of struggling with the bed restraints. We saw that. We saw the accent. Pretty much everything that we saw in the trailer, guys, we got in the first episode. So I'm saying, if everything that we saw, including the van, the ice cream or the cupcake van, guys, where he's in there and he's got a gun and it's bloody and a dude falls out the back and he's like, oh my God. We saw Ethan Hawke's character. Everything that was in the trailer was in episode 1. So what is possibly left, dude? Like, what are they hiding? I'm so excited to see. Like, Marvel doesn't usually, it's like kind of similar to the Doctor Strange stuff. Like, they show us like stuff in the trailers to either throw us off or just to give us a good indication of the show or the movie. But then it's like the good stuff is hidden, like the good cameos and stuff like that. So what could possibly like happen the rest of the show? There was so much packed in this episode where this was a show where I legitimately thought at any point, I have no idea what's going to happen and anything could happen at any moment. And I was expecting almost like an Inception vibe where it's like crazy visual shots, like scenes that mess with your brain. I mean, you really feel like you're in this character's shoes. Oscar Isaac does, I think, a phenomenal job of playing that unhinged, like multiple personality, what's going on, what's real, what isn't real. I think he did such a great job with that, where it's really some of his best acting I think I've ever seen him do in his career. And it's so beautifully shot. They love reflections, obviously. They love puddles. You're watching it and you're like, I don't know what's happening, but you're like, anything might happen next. Who's going to come in there? Around every corner, there's something. You know, we're kind of going back and forth between like the ancient Egyptian stuff and then the modern day stuff. And then we're getting like cuts between scenes where we see that he can kind of control his power a little bit, where he's like going to put the scarab back. And he has that great scene with Ethan Hawke where he's like, just give me the scarab. And he's like, okay. He holds his hand out and he's like, I'm not doing this. He's like, must be the altitude. And he's like pushing his fingers up. And then he's like, he's like, just take it. And he's like, I'm not doing this. And then, they think he's like messing with them. And we get this amazing scene, guys, of Ethan Hawke, who looks so good. And I mean, dude, it's like Kevin Bacon 2.0. I mean, guys, the opening scene of the show is Ethan Hawke's character. We don't know who it is initially, breaking glass and then sprinkling it into shoes. And you're like, okay, that's a weird move. And then putting the shoes on. And we also got to Oscar Isaac's character, and then it's a shot on his feet. So anyone who likes feet, you guys got a treat in the first like 10 minutes, okay? We know this is like a religious, like creepy aspect. And a lot of times, guys, when you see like horror movies, there's like a strong tie with like religion and horror. And I think those are the creepiest ones because it's based in reality. And it's like, it just shows you how powerful religion can be. And like, this is kind of along the lines there where there's this belief in these ancient gods and ancient Egyptians. And it's like this power. It's this inhuman power where we see Ethan Hawke do that like cane trick, and he's like, are you ready for the scales no matter what the outcome? And this woman's like, yes. And then he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, I wish you could be in this world that we're going to build. There's like some sort of like power that kills that woman, and it's like, oh my God, dude. And because she's like, I've been good my whole life. And he's like, I believe you, but the scales do not. And it's like, wow, dude, it's so interesting and trippy and fascinating. And it's got a little Doctor Strange vibe where you don't know, like almost like multiverse stuff, or like you don't know what's going to happen. But we see Oscar Isaac like literally like blink his eyes a little bit, or like you can tell he's like mentally using the power when he's got the scarab, and he won't let go of the scarab. Like he's trying to get rid of it, but there's a voice telling him. The voice I thought was a little bit of a miss for me. It was a weird voice. It was like kind of goofy. And I was like, it took me out of it a little bit. I love the idea of the voice, but it was just kind of weird. But anytime they switch shots, dude, when he's in the cupcake van and he doesn't know what to do, and then like they're surrounding him on both sides with the guns, and then he like blinks or whatever, and then he cuts to him and he drops the gun, and the guy's shot in the head and he falls out. And anytime he's like in trouble, he kind of like blinks. We thought it was an accident the first time, but then he's like starting to learn power over it. He finds a Motorola Razr, and I was like, whoa, dude, that was a throwback. And Layla, I think, is like the cute girl that is going to the dinner with him, and it's so cool that he's like, I'm sorry, asking me out. And she's like, you're funny. And she's like, I'll see you tomorrow night. And so that was Thursday. And then like he comes through later on, and it turns out it's Sunday because he's waiting at the restaurant, and the waiter's like, are you still waiting for one more, sir? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, it's not looking good though, isn't it? And I'm like, dude, Oscar Isaac is just adorable in this role. Like Stephen Grant is like, he's so like such a sad but like nice guy, and it's just, he does a great job of playing the role. Yeah, I thought it was just excellent. I love how he's like, it's Sunday. He's like, sir, it's Sunday. Are you kidding me? And he's like, he doesn't know what's reality and what's different. He's talking to a statue. And I'm just so hooked and so into this world where it's so awesome, dude. And I'm like, what, how trippy is it going to get? It seems like a show that it's going to be like, literally anything can happen. And I'm so like down for that ride. And I'm really, really impressed with the pilot. And, you know, he's talking to the fish, and he said the fish's fin grew back. He says, I'm finding Nemo. And he's like, oh, sorry about that. But he calls Layla, and she's like, what are you doing? What's this accent? She's like, Mark, what are you talking about? And he's like, why'd you call me Mark? And there's just this mystery, and Ethan Hawke goes to see him at the end, and he's like, there's chaos in you, because he does the scale thing with him. And he's like, the voice inside your head, I get it. But he said there's chaos in him, and he like runs away, and he's like, let him go. And he's seeing things, and he goes on the bus, and it like snaps to the bus, and everyone's looking at him. And I'm just so into that crazy like mind trip, like what's going to happen next. Anything can happen, like universe bending stuff. So I'm really, really excited. I thought the production value was like off the charts for a Marvel TV show. And they're just doing something that's fun, and they kind of they're a little loose. Like they don't really have these boundaries for the show where it's like, it's a new character, it's an origin story. I know Moon Knight's from the comics. I don't know anything about Moon Knight, but I'm like, after this first episode, dude, I'm like, oh my God, we get to see in the elevator too, where, you know, the creature's chasing him, and he's like, and then he's like in the corner, and she's like, oh, electrical problems. She's like, always the same, isn't it? And she's looking at him, and he's like, I lost a contact lens. And she's like, oh, I hope you find it. And it's like, we saw all of that in the trailer. So again, they packed everything cool that they showed in the trailer, they showed in the first episode. So I think that could go two ways, right? Either they don't, I don't think this is the case, but either they don't have enough cool stuff to spread out over the rest of the series, and so like that's why they put everything in the trailer. Or what is more likely, I think, they put all this in the trailer so that they wouldn't spoil anything outside of the pilot. And now we're going to really get to see the madness and what's going on. And it's like, oh, dude, I'm so excited. And yeah, I think an excellent first episode. All right, guys, my favorite character for this one, it's Oscar Isaac, dude. I mean, I thought he was just excellent. Like I said, probably his best acting performance I've ever seen him in. He just does such a great job of like trying to be normal and trying to be nice and trying to fit in, but then like just quickly losing the sense of like everything, questioning reality, and like going on, and he like clearly has been in this loop because he like takes out the scarab, and he's wondering what's going on there. And I got kind of Mr. Robot vibes a little bit from this too, which is great. Obviously, guys, Mr. Robot, my favorite show on this planet. Go check out Hello Friends. I reviewed every single episode of Mr. Robot. That's why I started the YouTube channel. But yeah, I just love that trippy like atmospheric show. And I think Oscar Isaac was so good at not only playing different characters where he sees in the end where he looks at himself in the mirror, or I think that's Mark. I think Mark is like the tougher one. And then Steven is like the kind of timid one. And then the voice kept saying like, oh, the idiot's back, and everyone's picking on Steven, and which I thought was a little much because he just seemed like a nice dude. So I don't know why everyone was like, okay, loser. And that was a little bit of a stretch for me, but I thought just, man, what a complex role that is. And like for him to play all those parts so well, and for him to like be so good at just like questioning the madness. And it's like, if you're watching it and you're like, wow, what the hell's going on? That's what like they want to convey to you. So Oscar Isaac kind of mirroring that, pun intended, is just awesome. And I'm just so excited to see where they take the character. And again, I don't know anything about Moon Knight, so I'm like open to this, and it's got me hooked immediately. And I just thought Oscar Isaac was the best one in this episode. Hey guys, the least favorite character for me, it's got to be that blonde lady, which is like his boss at the gift shop. Also, guys, if he works in a gift shop in a museum, that's awesome. Like, and obviously he's like really into Egyptian art. He's like the Inuit. He's like, there's actually only 6 here, but there's actually 8 in the Inuit. And she's like, okay, whatever, dude. She's like, I don't care, dork. But that woman, I think, was just a little too mean. She like was just beating down Oscar Isaac's character, Steven. And I was just like, dude, I mean, she's being just bitchy. And I was like, did you like, I don't know. She wasn't likable at all. It wasn't like She was funny, bitchy. She was just bitchy. And she just wasn't like, I didn't like her character at all. And I thought she like felt out of place when everyone else I thought felt really cool. And like she just was just mean to be mean, and it's like, all right, like you're not really pushing Oscar Isaac's character in another direction. I just think she didn't really progress the story, and I just didn't really like her character at all. So that woman who played this gift shop manager, she's on that's like, oh yeah, an inventory, worst one. Okay, guys, that brings us to the score. This is a 10 out of 10. I mean, this is great, dude. This is some of Marvel's best work. And like I said, guys, they have kind of freedom to just do whatever they want with this. I'm sure there are comic storylines that they need to stick to, but the costume looks awesome. The acting is great. The powerhouse duo between Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke. I almost want to say Kevin Bacon because he looks so much like Kevin Bacon, but I just love how he's like that prophet like figure where it's like there's something different going on there, and it's like his powers are really cool, and it's like somehow he's tapped into the like Egyptian powers, and it's like, what does that mean? We haven't really seen a lot of that in Marvel. We've seen Doctor Strange obviously and Wanda. That's really exciting to see, and I just thought like visually, story wise, it was just a treat, and I was just wondering like what's going to happen next, and I was trying to figure out the pieces, and it's like I was watching like almost like a detective like thriller or like a murder mystery, because I was like trying to figure it out in my head, like, okay, he went here, he's doing the Rubik's Cube, he's losing track, he's trying to stay awake, you know, he listens to that thing where he's like, welcome to trying to stay awake. She's like, try reading a book. She's like, try doing this. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome, dude. Like, I love how he's like doing puzzles and reading books, and he's obviously trying to avoid sleeping. And it's almost like a Nightmare on Elm Street type scenario where it's like they can't sleep, so they have to stay up. But it's just super interesting, and I thought it was shot beautifully, like I said, guys, and acted incredibly well. And I'm so interested in the story, and I'm so glad that they put everything from the trailer in the first episode, because I can't wait to see what's next. Guys, well, that's it for our pilot episode of Dancing in the Moon Knight, our Moon Knight in review. These will be dropping, like I said, guys, hopefully every Wednesday, probably late Wednesday nights. So keep an eye out for that. If you guys did like the content, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing. Go check out the other content on the channel, of course. And until next time, guys, peace.